Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from FireFox Gold. I am chatting with the CEO, Carl Löfberg. I haven't had Carl on the show before. Usually I chat with Patrick Highsmith, but because this is much more of a drilling exploration update, we're bringing Carl on to give us his insights on the drilling, the news to come, and really what's following up on some of the drilling. We have two drill programs to discuss, one at Mustajärvi, another at Sarvi. Both of these projects in the Lapland Greenstone belt in Finland. Carl, I want to start with Mustajärvi. Patrick and I talk a lot about this program. You have just completed 14,000 meters in a program that had 10,000 planned. So you got more drilling in than you anticipated. We're still waiting on some of the results, but most recently we did have a news release on that, on some expansionary drill results. And then I also understand you're back on site here drilling with a follow-up program. So let's just start with that completed 14,000 meters. Carl, just remind everybody what the goals were around that program and recap some of the results that we've already seen, please.
Very good. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, the 14,000 meter was just completed, and we already started the next program. With the 14,000 meters, we were mainly defining the coming inferred resource in the northeastern target and the eastern targets, and that has went really well. Now in this current program, the majority of our drilling still goes to the inferred resource in the northeastern target and eastern target, but at the same time we are drilling other targets in Mustajärvi in the central zone, which is effectively west from the first initial resource. Also on the northern side in the what we call the triangle target, and a new area roughly 700 meters to the east, which we call Lammas. So we have the resource, but also 3 targets next to the original resource. The idea is that the resource should come out in Q1, and that's been going really well. With the 2 rigs now at Mustajärvi, there's a number of unreported holes. We have roughly 30 drill holes which we've drilled, which are not reported yet. And there should be, well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the news release every week regarding drill results, maybe half a dozen per release. Might be that at some point it takes 2 weeks for us to have a release, but there will be a lot of news coming out.
Let's talk about where a lot of this drilling has happened. And as you said, there's a resource coming out. That's the northeast and the east zones. Just how big of a mineralized system are we looking at in these 2 zones that you've currently drilled off?
Will probably be 2 open pits next to each other. Overall, the strike length is more than 1 kilometer, 1.2 kilometers there, but the drilling is comparatively shallow, less than 250 meters. And it's also good to remember that, for instance, Kittilä mine, they are mining at 1.4 kilometers depth, and they have ore grade intercepts over 2 kilometers deep. So this is comparatively shallow drilling if you compare it with the Greenstone belt in general. So the resource is going to be comparatively small, roughly 15% of the overall length of Mustajärvi, and comparatively shallow, less than 250 meters. And as said, in this current program, we are drilling targets next to it in the central zone, in the Lammas, and in the triangle target to the north.
All right, so Carl, let's now move over to what's being drilled now. Some of these other targets, that central zone, the triangle target, the Lammas target. Give us an understanding of, is this all first pass drilling at these targets? What kind of systems are you looking for? Is this all kind of interrelated with what you have seen so far at the northeast and east zones? Just more information on these other targets that are being drilled now, please.
We'll start with the central zone, which we've drilled 4 or 5 years ago. We've drilled 3 holes there, and like I said, we don't have labs of these yet, but based on what we know about Mustajärvi, it looks encouraging. And in the triangle target, that's effectively maiden drilling. Nobody has drilled there before, as well as in the Lammas target to the east. So those are effectively virgin drilling, but it looks very encouraging. Obviously, we don't have the labs in yet, but we should have results out in September, in October of these holes, which we've now drilled.
So would you call some of this drilling of the triangular Lammas target, because there has been no prior drilling, more of a scout program? Are these relatively shallow holes that you're going to be drilling here?
They are in the ballpark of 200 meters, one in Lammas, a bit deeper. They are effectively scout drilling, but we are very excited. In the Lammas zone, we had geophysical targets, and it seems like that we might have hit something, hopefully quite spectacularly.
Okay, so we're still waiting for those results to come back. Let's talk about the Sarvi program. Talk to us about what this program was all about. It seems like it was following up on some scout drilling that you did, I believe, last year, following up on some high-grade results. But just remind everybody what you had done to Sarvi in terms of exploration up to this program and what the overall program was.
Yes, we had a very good drill hole reported in Sarvi earlier this year, almost 2 meters at 27 grams, more than 27 grams, 1.75 meters. And it was partially a follow-up drilling on this, but also other regional targets in the Sarvi project. So we're very excited about the labs, the interpretation, the geophysics, the structural work there, and we will return to Sarvi again next winter. This is also progressing very well.
Now, how many holes did you complete in that program? When are you expecting some of these results?
It was 11 holes, 2.4 kilometers altogether, and we hope that we'll have the results out in September.
How aggressive were you on stepping out from that scout drill result, the one that you're really focused on here?
Like I said, there's follow-ups there, a few follow-ups, but also regional holes. As said, we don't have the labs in yet, so let's see what the labs bring, and we can report on that in September.
Okay, fair enough. I'll either talk to you or Patrick about that. Are you doing any other work on the Sarvi project while you're waiting for these results to come back?
We are generally interpreting the overall geology there, and we've had Markku Montonen, very renowned geophysicist, working together with Mikko the past year intensely. So we're developing Sarvi, but at the same time, we are preparing a small drill program in Jeesia, where we worked for several years, and also possibly on a new area where we haven't drilled at all in Nonara, but that might happen next winter. We do have 7 projects altogether, and we are building a pipeline of projects. I believe personally at Mustajärvi is clearly a discovery. I think that the market might see that it's comparatively small. The Mustajärvi footprint, the tenement size, which we have, has gone up more than 10 times in the past 5 years. More than 10 times. And I think that that's part of the people might think that it's comparatively small. Let's see in 3 or 4 days how small it is. Let's see in 3 or 4 days, 3 or 4 years, I mean. But I think that overall, when we have the first inferred resource out in 6 months, people will understand that, oh, gee, this is only a kilometer. It's only 250 meters. It's open in all directions. These guys have been drilling in the central zone, on the west side, in Lammas, on the east side, in the northeastern, like in the triangle target to the north. Oh, gee, this is probably going to grow in many different directions and possibly at depth as well. So I think that at that point, in 6 months' time, people will realize that Mustajärvi is a discovery. Then we only have 6 other projects to advance, out of which Sarvi is the first one, and I think that we'll have good news already this fall and more also in the winter in the third drill program in Sarvi.
All right, so to that point, Carl, lots of exploration potential. Look, we've been talking again, like I said, a lot about Mustajärvi and the continued solid results out of that. But then you have all these other projects. What do you do about managing capital then? Now, obviously, you would love to go out and drill everything right away, but how do you go about prioritizing which targets, which projects get drilled while also managing capital?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily want to have 7 rigs and drill 7 projects at the same time. I think that it works really well for us. We are now drilling what we call sort of internally with 1.5 rig annually, which means that with 1 rig, you can drill roughly 20 kilometers. With 1.5 rig in 12 months, you can drill 30 kilometers. And since Mustajärvi, we know when we drill the resource that we have roughly 80% of the holes hit gold. But when we drill regional targets, for instance, in Lammas, 3 holes, the triangle target, a few holes, it makes a lot of sense to drill a few holes, then drill something else, wait for the labs, do possibly like immediate geophysics, and actually have the interpretation in 2 months' time, and then continue so that you can be guided by your results continuously. You don't need to do as big companies, well, we have this year's budget, 15 months in advance. We decided that we're going to do. We can do this effectively 5 times over. We can drill a virgin target, interpret everything, do geophysics, and then have another drill program so that we can build on that. So we have 2 rigs currently, and I wouldn't want to have more than 2 rigs at the same time. Now, might be that in 6 months, 12 months, we could have a 3rd rig, which we can, but this is how we manage things.
All right, Carl. Thanks for that update. Well, look, I'm going to continue to follow along with this company as some of these drill results come out. And for everyone listening, please keep sending me all of your questions, and I'll get Carl or Patrick to address those on future interviews, which it sounds like there'll be a few coming, as a lot of drill results should be coming to the market in the near term. Again, I've been chatting with Carl Löfberg, CEO of FireFox Gold. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FFOX, on the OTCQB under the symbol FFOXF, and the Frankfurt Exchange FIY. Carl, thank you very much for the update today.
Thank you very much.